Malik Jones was born in a modest neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York, a place where dreams often felt as scarce as the resources needed to pursue them. From an early age, Malik showed an insatiable curiosity and a passion for technology, a spark that would eventually define his life. While most children in the neighborhood spent their days playing on the cracked pavements or dreaming about basketball stardom, Malik was different. He could often be found in the community library, poring over old computer manuals and navigating outdated computer systems that barely functioned. These moments of quiet exploration gave him a glimpse into a world of possibilities far beyond the confines of his surroundings. His fascination with technology was a refuge, a way to dream big despite the challenges that surrounded him. Malik's childhood was not easy. The public schools he attended were plagued with problems, including insufficient funding, overworked teachers, and a general lack of resources. The classrooms were overcrowded, and textbooks were often outdated, falling apart, or simply unavailable. Still, Malik refused to be discouraged. If the world around him lacked the tools he needed, he would find other ways to acquire them. At the community library, Malik made use of every second he could get on the old, slow computers. He would read fragments of computer science books, many of which were years behind the current state of technology, but that didn't matter to him. Every new piece of knowledge he gained felt like a personal triumph. Malik's parents were his greatest source of strength and inspiration. Despite their modest means, they were determined to see him succeed. His mother worked long hours as a nurse, a job that left her physically and emotionally drained, while his father, a bus driver, always found time to remind him of the importance of education. They taught him that hard work and resilience were the keys to overcoming any obstacle. Malik grew up hearing his mother say, "Knowledge is the one thing no one can ever take away from you." Those words stayed with him. Yet, as encouraging as his family was, Malik could not escape the harsh realities of the world around him. He faced constant reminders that society saw him first as a black boy from a poor neighborhood before considering his potential. There were moments when he felt the weight of the stereotypes placed on him, but Malik decided early on that he would let his achievements speak louder than any prejudiced assumption. His response to adversity was to work even harder. Resilience became his armor, and determination his guiding light. After years of relentless effort, Malik's hard work began to pay off. His exceptional academic performance earned him scholarships to some of the most prestigious universities in the country. At these institutions, Malik stood out not only for his intellect but also for his discipline and integrity. He became known among his peers and professors as someone who was not afraid of challenges. However, even in these halls of privilege, Malik could feel the subtle and not-so-subtle judgments of those who doubted his place there. It was as if every step forward was met with a question mark, as if his achievements were seen as anomalies rather than the results of his hard work. The turning point in Malik's career came years later when he was offered the position of chief financial officer at one of the largest and most influential tech companies in the United States. It was a role that signaled not only personal success but also a challenge to the status quo of an industry that had long been dominated by white men. The news of his appointment was met with a mix of reactions. While some celebrated his rise as a breakthrough for diversity and inclusion, others were less enthusiastic. Whispers circulated in the corporate world, questioning whether he had truly earned the position or if he was simply a token hire. Malik was acutely aware of the expectations and scrutiny that came with his new role. He knew that his every move would be watched and analyzed, not just as a CFO but as a black man in a position of power. The challenges ahead were daunting. He would have to navigate office politics, confront deeply ingrained prejudices, and prove himself repeatedly in ways that his peers were never asked to. Yet, Malik was not one to back down from a fight. He approached his new role with the same determination and focus that had carried him through his life thus far. As he settled into his position, Malik found that his greatest challenge was not the technical aspects of his job, but the unspoken resistance he encountered from those who were uncomfortable with his presence. He had to work twice as hard to earn the respect and trust of his colleagues, many of whom viewed him with suspicion or even outright hostility. It was a constant battle, but Malik was undeterred. He reminded himself of the journey that had brought him here, the late nights at the library, the sacrifices of his parents, and the countless obstacles he had overcome. He knew that his success was not just his own but a testament to the resilience and strength of his community. Despite the pressures, Malik also saw his position as an opportunity to pave the way for others. He became a mentor to young people from underprivileged backgrounds, sharing his story and encouraging them to pursue their dreams, no matter how unattainable they might seem. He wanted to show them that it was possible to break through the barriers of systemic inequality and achieve greatness. Malik's journey was far from over. The road ahead was filled with new challenges, but he faced them with the same courage and determination that had defined his life. He knew that his success was not just about personal ambition, but about creating a legacy of hope and possibility for those who would come after him. In the face of adversity, Malik Jones stood tall, ready to prove that talent, integrity, and perseverance could triumph over even the most entrenched prejudices. He would not back down, for his fight was not just for himself but for a future where everyone, regardless of their background, could dare to dream. Malik Jones did not take long to realize that his new position came with invisible challenges. In his very first week as chief financial officer, suspicious glances and subtle remarks began to pile up. Meetings were conducted as if his presence was merely a formality, and his ideas, when presented, were often ignored, until a white executive repeated them and received applause and recognition. One particular situation stood out. During a high-level strategic meeting, Malik presented an innovative proposal for the company's financial restructuring, designed to save millions in operational expenses. The immediate reaction was a strained silence. The company president, a man with a long career in the industry, furrowed his brow and promised to review it carefully. Weeks later, Malik watched his idea being presented as a new proposal by a less qualified but more socially accepted colleague. Indignation swelled within him, but he knew an impulsive reaction could jeopardize his career. He chose instead to focus on building concrete evidence, meticulously documenting his suggestions and all correspondence related to the project. The tension grew. The corporate environment, cold and calculating, felt like a jungle where every move had to be strategically planned. At each hurdle, Malik reflected on his childhood in Brooklyn and the lessons his parents had taught him. Never give up in the face of adversity. Then came the hardest blow. A vital project for the company, one that Malik had developed and presented with impeccable detail, was reassigned to another director with a vague justification of redistribution of responsibilities. It was clear that his efforts were being deliberately erased. At that moment, Malik faced his deepest dilemma: accept being silenced to survive in the system or fight back with intelligence and dignity. He knew that direct confrontation would leave him vulnerable. Even so, his essence would not allow him to retreat. After a night of deep reflection and long conversations with his mother, his constant source of inspiration and strength, Malik made his decision. He would not only face the system but challenge it in a way they never expected. He began to develop, in secret, a revolutionary project that would redefine the company's financial standards. The plan was bold, risky, and potentially career-ending, but it was also the only way to prove his worth beyond doubt. Malik was determined to fight not just for himself, but for everyone like him who was constantly underestimated. With fierce determination, he began his silent battle, armed with intelligence, patience, and a vision impossible to ignore. In the weeks that followed, Malik poured himself into the new project. He worked late into the night, carefully crafting a strategy that would highlight his abilities and leave no room for denial. The concept was transformative, a complete overhaul of the company's financial management, integrating cutting-edge technology and predictive analytics to maximize efficiency and minimize waste. To execute the project discreetly, Malik enlisted the help of a trusted team of analysts who believed in his vision. They worked in the shadows, communicating through encrypted channels and conducting meetings in off-site locations. Every detail was planned with precision to avoid attracting unnecessary attention. As the project neared completion, Malik prepared to unveil his work at an upcoming board meeting. He knew the stakes were high. The presentation would either solidify his position or mark the end of his career. But Malik was ready. Armed with comprehensive data, compelling visuals, and a clear narrative, he crafted a pitch that was impossible to ignore. On the day of the presentation, the atmosphere in the boardroom was tense. Executives exchanged curious glances as Malik took the floor. He began with a calm but commanding presence, guiding the room through the current financial inefficiencies and demonstrating how his solution would revolutionize the company's operations. As he spoke, the skepticism in the room began to waver. The data was irrefutable, the logic flawless. By the time he concluded, the boardroom was silent. Not the awkward silence of dismissal, but the profound silence of realization. Malik had proven, beyond any doubt, that his vision was not only viable but essential for the company's future. Despite the overwhelming success of his presentation, Malik remained cautious. He knew that his victory would not erase the systemic biases that had sought to undermine him. Instead of celebrating, he focused on solidifying his position and ensuring the project's implementation. He continued to document every interaction, maintaining a meticulous record to protect himself against future challenges. In the months that followed, Malik's project transformed the company's financial landscape. Operational costs plummeted, profits surged, and the board hailed the initiative as a turning point in the company's history. For the first time, Malik received the recognition he deserved, not just as a competent CFO but as a visionary leader. Yet, Malik's journey was not solely about personal achievement. He used his newfound influence to advocate for systemic changes within the organization. He pushed for diversity initiatives, mentorship programs, and fairer hiring practices, determined to create a more inclusive environment for future generations. Through it all, Malik never forgot the lessons of his past. The struggles he endured, the sacrifices of his parents, and the unwavering belief in his own potential had brought him to this point. His story became a beacon of hope for others facing similar challenges, a testament to the power of resilience, intelligence, and quiet determination. As Malik continued to rise, he remained grounded in his purpose. His fight was far from over, but he had proven that even in the most unwelcoming environments, it was possible to carve out a space for dignity and success. Malik Jones was not just surviving. He was thriving, paving the way for others to follow. Malik Jones's silent battle was beginning to take shape. After long days at work, he dedicated his nights to creating a revolutionary financial project. It was a system based on artificial intelligence designed to optimize financial processes, reduce costs, and predict economic trends with remarkable precision. Every line of code he wrote, every table he analyzed, brought him closer to a future he could shape with his own hands. Challenges were relentless. The corporate environment remained hostile, a battlefield where any sign of vulnerability was exploited. Malik faced not only the pressure of daily work, but also covert sabotage. Documents would mysteriously disappear, and critical information was deliberately withheld during key meetings. The pressure took a toll on his mental health. Sleepless nights spent working tirelessly, combined with the constant need to prove his competence, weighed heavily on him. Yet giving up was never an option. He thought of his roots in Brooklyn, the promises he had made to himself, and his mother's words, "You are not here by chance. Your journey is bigger than you." Amid this turmoil, a glimmer of hope appeared in the form of an unexpected ally. Ava Martinez, a brilliant data analyst who also faced discrimination in the corporate environment. Tired of being overlooked and determined to make a difference, Ava offered her assistance with Malik's secret project. Together, combining their expertise, they transformed his initial idea into a powerful and innovative tool. However, the more progress they made, the greater the risks became. Word of the project reached the wrong ears, and an attempted sabotage nearly jeopardized all their work. Malik and Ava were forced to tighten security around their files and restrict access to a few trusted devices. One particularly difficult night, Malik found himself reflecting on a moment from his childhood. He remembered sitting in the old community library in Brooklyn, exploring digital worlds while his mother worked double shifts to provide for him. It was there he learned that knowledge was the most powerful weapon against injustice. With this renewed perspective, he resolved that no obstacle would stop him. Finally, the point of no return arrived. The project was ready to be unveiled. But before Malik could act, he discovered that his idea had been stolen again. A senior executive had presented the project as his own at a major conference, receiving widespread acclaim and praise. At that moment, Malik realized he could no longer operate behind the scenes. It was time to confront the system head-on. The final battle was imminent, and he was prepared to face the consequences of his decision. He was no longer fighting solely for his career, but for his dignity and for the future of all those who faced similar barriers. With determination and a meticulously planned strategy, Malik prepared to expose the truth, so convincingly that no one could ignore it. In the days leading up to his revelation, Malik meticulously gathered evidence of the project's development, including timestamps, digital records, and correspondences with Ava. Every detail was cataloged and cross-referenced, ensuring that the stolen idea could be unequivocally traced back to him. Malik understood that his case needed to be airtight, leaving no room for doubt or denial. Ava, equally committed to the cause, used her data expertise to create a comprehensive report showcasing the project's evolution from its inception to its final form. Together, they outlined not only the innovative elements of the system, but also the significant challenges they had overcome to bring it to life. Their collaboration resulted in a compelling narrative, one that painted an undeniable picture of their contributions. The moment of truth came during a high-stakes company-wide meeting, where the executive who had stolen Malik's idea was set to present the project's progress. Malik and Ava waited until the presentation was underway before stepping forward. With calm but unwavering resolve, Malik requested permission to address the room. The tension was palpable as he began to speak. In a clear and confident voice, Malik laid out the evidence, piece by piece. He presented the timestamps of his original work, the detailed logs of his meetings with Ava, and the sequence of events leading up to the project's completion. The room grew silent as the weight of his words sank in. The stolen credit was undeniable, and the executive who had taken it sat frozen, unable to counter the mountain of proof Malik had presented. As the room erupted into murmurs, Malik concluded with a powerful statement. This project represents not just my work, but the resilience and innovation of those who are too often overlooked. It's time for this company to acknowledge and value contributions based on merit, not bias. The fallout was swift. The executive responsible for the theft faced immediate scrutiny, and Malik's work was formally recognized by the board. While the company's leadership praised Malik's courage, he knew that the fight for equity within the organization was far from over. Malik's actions sparked a broader conversation within the company about systemic biases and the need for accountability. He used his newfound platform to advocate for structural changes, including transparent credit-sharing policies and initiatives to promote diversity and inclusion. Ava, emboldened by the experience, joined Malik in these efforts, becoming a co-leader in driving meaningful change within the organization. Although the journey had been fraught with challenges, Malik emerged stronger, more determined than ever to create a legacy of fairness and innovation. His silent battle had become a resounding victory, not just for himself, but for everyone striving to break free from the chains of prejudice and inequality. The morning following the conference was marked by an unusual silence in the company's hallways. Malik Jones arrived at the office with a clear purpose. This was the day the truth would come to light. He knew there wouldn't be another opportunity. The company was holding its major quarterly meeting, and all directors and executives would be in attendance. Before the meeting began, Malik reviewed his secret presentation one last time. With Ava Martinez's help, he had compiled irrefutable evidence, email records, development files, and even security camera footage showing unauthorized access to his documents. Everything was meticulously organized. The conference room was packed. The air was heavy with anticipation as the company's CEO delivered his formal introduction. Malik sat quietly, his fingers interlocked in an attempt to steady his nerves. When the senior executive who had stolen his project was called upon to present his idea, Malik stood up calmly. "Excuse me, Mr. President," he said, his voice firm and assured. "Before we proceed, I believe there is some crucial information that needs to be shared." The room fell into absolute silence. All eyes turned to Malik as he connected his laptop to the central projector. The project about to be presented was not developed by the individual claiming to be its creator, he announced, his serene tone masking the storm within him. Slide by slide, Malik laid out his evidence. Each piece was precise and undeniable, detailing how his work had been stolen and manipulated. The faces of the executives shifted, moving from disbelief to embarrassment. The accused director tried to interrupt, but Malik remained composed. The evidence speaks for itself, he stated, concluding his presentation with a video recording showing unauthorized access to the central server. The weight of the accusations was undeniable. The company president couldn't ignore the severity of the situation. The corrupt director was immediately terminated, and a full investigation was launched. The CEO issued a public apology to both Malik and Ava, formally acknowledging their contributions to the company. However, for Malik, this victory felt incomplete. He knew that rectifying a single injustice wasn't enough. The very structure that allowed such misconduct to happen needed to change. Rather than accept a promotion offered as reparation, Malik made a bold decision. He chose to leave the company and start his own venture dedicated to technological inclusion and corporate justice. With Ava by his side, he founded an innovative startup aimed at creating opportunities for underrepresented communities in the tech industry. What had been a traumatic experience became a source of inspiration and purpose. Their new company was groundbreaking. Malik and Ava built a culture of equity and empowerment, fostering an environment where ideas were celebrated based on merit rather than bias. They developed programs to mentor young professionals from marginalized backgrounds, equipping them with the skills and confidence to thrive in the tech world. Their platform also focused on ethical practices in corporate environments, offering tools and training to prevent misconduct and ensure transparency. Malik's decision to leave wasn't without challenges. He faced criticism from some who believed he should have stayed to reform the system from within. But Malik understood that real change often required starting anew, free from the constraints of entrenched corporate hierarchies. His departure sent shockwaves through the industry. The story of his confrontation and subsequent choice to leave resonated far beyond the walls of his former company. Media outlets highlighted his courage and the systemic issues his experience exposed. Malik became a prominent voice advocating for diversity and integrity in the tech sector, using his platform to call for widespread reform. For Malik, the journey was deeply personal. He reflected on the struggles of his past, the lessons from his mother, and the resilience that had carried him through every obstacle. He thought of the countless others who faced similar barriers and resolved to ensure that their voices would no longer go unheard. Years later, Malik's startup had grown into a leading force in the industry. Its impact extended far beyond the corporate world, inspiring a new generation of innovators who believed in the power of technology to create a more just and inclusive society. Malik's decision to confront the system and forge his own path became a defining moment, not just for him, but for everyone striving to break free from the constraints of inequality. That day in the conference room, Malik didn't just win against the system. He sparked something much larger. His story became a testament to the power of truth, courage, and the unyielding belief that justice is worth fighting for. Malik Jones's departure from the company marked the beginning of a new chapter in his life. Free from the shadows of a toxic corporate environment, he and Ava Martinez founded FutureBridge Tech, a startup dedicated to technological inclusion and social justice. Their mission was clear: to provide training and employment opportunities to communities historically neglected in the tech industry. The first few months were fraught with the typical challenges of a fledgling company. Limited resources, lack of market recognition, and grueling work hours became a part of their daily reality. However, Malik never lost sight of his purpose. Every obstacle served as a reminder of the struggles he had already overcome. FutureBridge Tech launched by offering free mentorship programs and technology training for young people from underserved communities. These initiatives quickly caught the attention of social investors and major corporations looking to support genuine diversity and inclusion efforts. One of their first major breakthroughs came in the form of a partnership with a national educational foundation. This collaboration enabled the creation of community tech centers across multiple cities. Malik and Ava traveled throughout the United States, opening learning spaces that provided access to computers, internet, and high-quality programming courses. Despite the rapid growth, Malik ensured that FutureBridge Tech remained rooted in fairness and transparency. He made it a priority to meet many of the young people benefiting from the company's programs. Hearing their stories of perseverance and renewed dreams strengthened his resolve to continue expanding their mission. Recognition soon followed. International organizations began awarding FutureBridge Tech for its innovative approach and significant social impact. The media spotlighted Malik's journey, portraying him as an inspiration for entrepreneurs from all walks of life. One morning, while reviewing progress reports, Malik received an unexpected formal letter, an invitation to return to the very company that had once tried to destroy him. This time, he was invited as the keynote speaker at a major technology event. After much contemplation, Malik decided to accept. During the speech, standing before an audience of executives, young professionals, and students, he shared his story without omitting a single detail. He spoke of the hardships, the betrayals, and the difficult decisions he had to make. Most importantly, he spoke about resilience, purpose, and transformation. True success isn't just about beating the system, Malik declared emotionally as he concluded his talk. It's about transforming it so that those who come after us find a fairer and more humane path. The applause was immediate and heartfelt. Malik Jones was no longer just a former CFO or a successful entrepreneur. He had become a symbol of change, a living testament to the idea that dreams, when coupled with courage and hard work, can rewrite even the most unjust stories. The journey of FutureBridge Tech continued to flourish. The startup's innovative programs expanded globally, bringing technology education and career opportunities to marginalized communities in countries around the world. Malik and Ava were tireless in their mission, often traveling to meet new partners, share their vision, and witness firsthand the impact of their work. FutureBridge Tech's programs evolved to include initiatives that address systemic barriers within the tech industry. They developed proprietary tools to help companies evaluate and improve their diversity practices, ensuring that inclusion was not just a slogan but a measurable outcome. The startup also established scholarships and internships, opening doors for countless individuals who had been excluded from the technology sector due to socioeconomic disadvantages. Through it all, Malik's leadership remained a guiding light. His story resonated with countless people, from young students dreaming of breaking into tech to seasoned professionals reconsidering the values of their workplaces. He often reminded his team that their work was about more than technology. It was about changing lives and breaking cycles of inequality. Years later, FutureBridge Tech was recognized as one of the most impactful social enterprises in the world. Malik's personal journey became a case study in resilience, ethical leadership, and the power of turning adversity into opportunity. Universities invited him to deliver commencement addresses, and his name became synonymous with innovation and justice. Reflecting on his journey, Malik often thought about the moment he chose to leave the company that had wronged him. It was a decision born not of anger but of hope, a hope that he could build something better, not just for himself but for countless others who had been overlooked and underestimated. His legacy was evident not only in the success of FutureBridge Tech, but in the countless lives it had touched. From the young programmer who created life-changing apps to the single mother who found a stable career in tech after attending one of their training programs, Malik's vision had sparked a ripple effect of empowerment. And yet, Malik knew that the fight for justice and inclusion was far from over. He remained committed to pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and inspiring others to do the same. His mantra, spoken often to his team and at public events, was simple but profound. We're not just building a company. We're building a bridge to a better future. Malik Jones's story became a beacon of hope and transformation, a reminder that even in the face of systemic injustice, it's possible to create lasting change. Through courage, perseverance, and an unshakable belief in the power of purpose, he had not only rewritten his own story but had given countless others the tools to do the same.